The crisis begins. In the far reaches of the galaxy, a shadow loomed over countless star systems. An enormous alien fleet known as the Xantor had emerged from the dark void of space. Their ships were massive, their weapons powerful, and their intentions clear: conquest. The Xantor had already destroyed several planets, leaving nothing but debris and despair in their wake. Across the galaxy, panic spread like wildfire. The leaders of various species met in a grand council to discuss their response. They were a diverse group: tall, green-skinned Varkari, sleek and fast Xylons, and even the wise and ancient Eldorans. All had one thing in common: fear. None of their armies were prepared for an enemy like the Xantor. Despite their efforts, the Varkari's heavy weaponry was useless against the Xantor's advanced shields. The Xylons' speed and agility couldn't match the alien fleet's sheer firepower. Even the Eldorans, with their deep knowledge of the cosmos, were stumped. The Xantor's attacks were relentless, and their advances seemed unstoppable. In the midst of this crisis, a small group of humans watched the chaos unfold. These humans were part of a special division called the Peacekeepers. Unlike other human groups who were known for their fighting skills, the Peacekeepers were trained in diplomacy and conflict resolution. They were often seen as weaklings, avoiding direct confrontations and preferring to solve problems through discussion and negotiation. Among them was Lieutenant Sarah Morgan, a determined woman with a reputation for avoiding combat. Her colleagues included Dr. Alex Carter, a scientist more comfortable with theories than battles, and Lieutenant Greg Miller, whose calm demeanor often made him seem uninterested in action. Together, they were often criticized by others for their reluctance to engage in physical confrontations. As the council meeting progressed, the galaxy's leaders argued fiercely. Some demanded immediate military action, while others suggested waiting for more information. The discussions grew heated, with accusations flying and no clear plan emerging. In the end, the council adjourned without any concrete steps to address the Xantor threat. Feeling frustrated and helpless, Sarah turned to her team. "We can't just sit here and wait for things to get worse," she said. "We need to do something." Alex looked up from his data pad, his face pale. "But what can we do? We're not fighters. We don't have the resources." Greg, who had been silent until now, nodded. "We may not be soldiers, but we're resourceful. We might have ideas or strategies that others haven't considered." Sarah's eyes brightened. "Exactly. We may not be able to fight like the others, but we can use our skills in different ways. If we can think of a plan, maybe we can help." The team began brainstorming. They reviewed the information they had about the Xantor and their attacks. They studied the alien ships, their weapons, and their tactics. They knew they had to come up with something that could make a difference. Days turned into weeks as the Peacekeepers worked tirelessly. They faced many challenges. The alien threat continued to grow, with new attacks reported almost daily. The galaxy's leaders remained ineffective, and morale among the populations was at an all-time low. Despite the mounting pressure, the Peacekeepers remained focused. They identified a potential weakness in the Xantor's shield technology, a small but critical flaw that could be exploited. They also developed a plan to disrupt the Xantor's communication systems, which could throw their coordination into chaos. As they finalized their plan, the Peacekeepers faced one last hurdle: convincing the galaxy's leaders to support their ideas. The leaders were still skeptical of the humans' abilities and were reluctant to take risks on unconventional strategies. Sarah, Alex, and Greg presented their plan to the council. "We know we're not traditional warriors," Sarah began, "but we've discovered a weakness in the Xantor's defenses. We can disrupt their communication and strike where they're most vulnerable. It's a long shot, but it's our best chance." The council members exchanged doubtful glances. "And you think your plan can really make a difference?" one leader asked, clearly unimpressed. Alex stepped forward. "We're not saying it's a guaranteed victory, but it's a chance to fight back. If we don't try, we'll be left with nothing." The leaders hesitated, but the urgency of the situation was undeniable. Reluctantly, they agreed to give the Peacekeepers a chance. It was a gamble, but the only option left in a dire situation. The Peacekeepers set their plan into motion. They worked with the limited resources they had, adapting their strategy as they went. The plan was risky, but it had the potential to change the course of the war. As the Xantor fleet continued its relentless advance, the galaxy's leaders watched nervously. The peacekeepers, once dismissed as cowardly, were now stepping up in a way no one had expected. Their unconventional approach might be the key to turning the tide. Little did anyone know the true test of their plan was about to begin. The peacekeepers were ready to face the challenge head-on, proving that sometimes the most unlikely heroes can make the biggest difference. The unexpected heroes, the galaxy's situation was growing increasingly dire. The Xantor fleet had advanced closer to several key planets, and hope was dwindling. As the peacekeepers prepared for their risky mission, they faced skepticism and doubt from all sides. Many thought their efforts were in vain, especially given their reputation for avoiding direct conflict. The peacekeepers, Sarah Morgan, Alex Carter, and Greg Miller, were determined to prove everyone wrong. They had developed a bold plan to exploit a weakness in the Xantor's shields and disrupt their communication network. It was their best chance to make a difference, but it required careful execution. The team set up their operations in a hidden facility on a remote moon. They worked around the clock, assembling the equipment and resources they needed. Their plan was to use a stealth ship to infiltrate the Xantor's fleet, plant a device that would interfere with their shields, and then escape before the aliens could retaliate. As they worked, the stress and pressure were palpable. The peacekeepers knew they had one chance to succeed, and failure meant not just their defeat, but the loss of countless lives across the galaxy. Sarah, often seen as the most reluctant to fight, took on a crucial role. She coordinated the mission, making sure every detail was perfect. Her leadership skills, often overlooked, became evident as she managed the logistics and kept the team focused. Alex, the scientist, worked tirelessly on the technical aspects of the plan. He designed the device that would disable the Xantor's shields and created a plan to hack into their communication systems. Despite his calm exterior, he was deeply invested in the mission's success, knowing it could be a turning point in the conflict. Greg, who had a reputation for being indifferent, showed a different side of himself. He took charge of the training and preparation, ensuring that the team was ready for any unexpected challenges. His calm demeanor and strategic thinking proved to be invaluable as he helped anticipate potential obstacles. As the peacekeepers put their plan into action, they faced several setbacks. Their stealth ship encountered technical issues, and the device they had built showed signs of malfunction. The team worked tirelessly to fix the problems, showing resilience and determination. The day of the mission arrived, and the peacekeepers prepared to embark on their dangerous journey. The stealth ship was ready, and the team was as prepared as they could be. The tension was high, but they were determined to succeed. They knew the galaxy's future depended on their efforts. The ship launched from their hidden base and made its way toward the Xantor fleet. The peacekeepers navigated carefully, using every bit of their training and skills to avoid detection. The stealth technology worked well, and they managed to get close to the enemy fleet without being noticed. As they approached the Xantor's main ship, they encountered unexpected difficulties. The alien defenses were more advanced than anticipated, and the stealth ship systems were pushed to their limits. The team had to think quickly and adapt their plan on the fly. Sarah took control of the situation, guiding the team through the complex maneuvering required to reach their target. Her leadership shone brightly as she made split-second decisions to keep the mission on track. Alex worked furiously to deploy the device and hack into the Xantor's communication systems. His expertise was crucial in overcoming the advanced security measures. With his knowledge and skill, he managed to get the device operational and initiate the hack. Greg provided support, coordinating the team's efforts and managing the ship's systems. His calm presence helped keep the team focused and coordinated during the high-pressure moments. His ability to think clearly under stress was a key factor in their success. Despite their best efforts, the mission was not without challenges. The Xantor detected the intrusion and launched a counterattack. The peacekeepers had to fight their way through the alien defenses while ensuring that their device was properly deployed. In the heat of the battle, the peacekeepers faced intense pressure. The Xantor fleet began to respond with overwhelming force, and the stealth ship was damaged. The team had to make quick decisions to avoid being destroyed. Sarah led the team through the chaos, using her strategic skills to navigate the dangerous situation. She directed Alex and Greg to complete their tasks while managing the ship's damaged systems. Alex, despite the stress and chaos, managed to complete the hack and activate the device. The Xantor's shields began to fail, and their communication systems were thrown into disarray. It was a significant victory for the team, but they had to escape quickly before the Xantor could retaliate. With the device in place and their mission accomplished, the peacekeepers made a swift exit. The stealth ship, heavily damaged but still functional, made its way back to their hidden base. The team's success was a critical turning point in the conflict. Back at their base, the peacekeepers were met with a mixture of relief and disbelief. They had succeeded in their mission, proving that even those considered cowardly could rise to the occasion and make a difference. The galaxy's leaders, once skeptical, began to recognize the value of the peacekeepers' efforts. Their unconventional approach had not only provided a crucial advantage, but had also demonstrated the importance of thinking outside the box. The peacekeepers were no longer seen as weaklings. Their bravery and ingenuity had changed the course of the war and inspired others to believe in the power of unexpected heroes. As they celebrated their victory, the team knew that their journey was far from over. The Xantor threat was far from defeated, and there would be more challenges ahead. But the peacekeepers had proven that even in the darkest times, hope could be found in the most unexpected places. Facing obstacles, with the peacekeepers' recent success, a glimmer of hope sparked across the galaxy. The Xantor fleet's shields were down and their communication systems were in chaos. It was a crucial victory, but the battle was far from over. The peacekeepers knew that the hardest part was yet to come. The Xantor were regrouping, and the galaxy's leaders had high expectations for their next move. Sarah Morgan, Alex Carter, and Greg Miller returned to their hidden base, exhausted but determined. They had taken a significant step, but the galaxy's situation remained dire. They now faced the challenge of planning their next move while dealing with the fallout from their recent mission. Their base, a small facility on a remote moon, was a hive of activity. The peacekeepers had to quickly repair their damaged stealth ship and prepare for their next operation. Tension was high as they worked, knowing that any mistake could cost lives. Sarah, who had been the team's leader throughout the mission, now had to navigate the complex task of managing their resources and coordinating with the galaxy's leaders. Despite the victory, many were still doubtful about the peacekeepers' abilities. The Council had granted them temporary authority, but only under the condition that they continued to deliver results. Alex, the scientist, was deeply immersed in analyzing the data from their previous mission. He was trying to understand the full impact of their attack and figure out how to exploit the Xantor's vulnerabilities further. His lab was cluttered with charts, technical readouts, and various pieces of equipment. His focus was intense, but the stress of the situation was taking its toll on him. Greg, the strategist, worked on refining their tactics. He reviewed the mission logs and the new intelligence reports about the Xantor's movements. His calm and methodical approach was a stark contrast to the urgency of the situation. He knew that a single misstep could lead to disaster, so he was meticulous in his planning. As the peacekeepers prepared for their next operation, they encountered several obstacles. The first challenge came when their stealth ship, still in the process of being repaired, suffered another malfunction. The ship's cloaking device, which had been crucial for their previous success, began to fail intermittently. This made it difficult for them to carry out covert operations. Sarah and Greg worked tirelessly to fix the issue. They contacted engineers and technicians from allied planets, seeking their expertise. Despite their best efforts, the repairs took longer than expected. The ship's malfunction added pressure to an already stressful situation, and the team's morale began to wane. Meanwhile, Alex faced his own set of challenges. The data he was analyzing revealed that the Xantor had upgraded their defenses since their last encounter. The aliens had installed new shielding technology that was more advanced and harder to breach. Alex had to scramble to come up with new strategies to overcome these enhanced defenses. The peacekeepers also faced internal conflicts. With the mounting pressure and continuous setbacks, tensions among the team members started to rise. Sarah's leadership was questioned, and some members of the team began to doubt their chances of success. The stress of the situation was beginning to take a toll on their unity. During a team meeting, Sarah addressed the growing concerns. "I know things are tough right now, but we've faced challenges before and come through. We need to stay focused and keep working together. Our mission is too important for us to lose hope now," Greg added. "We've overcome bigger obstacles. This is just another hurdle. We need to find a way to adapt and keep moving forward." Despite their words of encouragement, the peacekeepers struggled to maintain their motivation. The pressure from the galaxy's leaders and the constant setbacks were weighing heavily on them. They knew that the next mission would be even more dangerous and demanding. As they prepared for their next operation, the peacekeepers received unexpected support from an unlikely source. A group of former soldiers who had been retired and living in seclusion offered their assistance. These veterans, once known for their skill and bravery, had heard of the peacekeepers' efforts and wanted to help. The veterans brought valuable experience and knowledge to the team. They shared their insights into military tactics and provided additional training for the peacekeepers. Their presence was a boost to the team's morale, and they helped bridge the gap between the peacekeepers' unconventional methods and traditional military strategies. With the additional support, the peacekeepers resumed their preparations. They made improvements to their stealth ship and adjusted their tactics based on the new intelligence. The veterans' expertise proved invaluable as they refined their plan to strike at the Xantor's upgraded defenses. The next phase of their mission was to launch a series of coordinated attacks on key Xantor installations. The goal was to further disrupt the alien forces and weaken their position before a major offensive. The peacekeepers knew that this would be their most challenging operation yet. As they embarked on their new mission, the peacekeepers faced a range of obstacles. The Xantor had increased their patrols and reinforced their defenses. The peacekeepers had to use all their skills and resources to navigate these dangers and achieve their objectives. Despite the difficulties, the team remained determined. The challenges they faced only strengthened their resolve. They knew that their success depended on their ability to adapt and persevere. With each obstacle they overcame, the peacekeepers grew more confident in their abilities. They were no longer seen as the cowardly humans, but as a capable and resilient team. Their efforts were starting to make a real impact, and their determination was inspiring others to join the fight. As the peacekeepers continued their mission, they proved that even in the face of overwhelming challenges, courage and perseverance could make a difference. Their journey was far from over, but they were determined to see it through to the end. First fight. The peacekeepers were ready for their first major combat mission since the Xantor's communication systems had been disrupted. With their stealth ship repaired and new strategies in place, Sarah Morgan, Alex Carter, and Greg Miller knew they were about to face a true test of their skills and resolve. The galaxy was tense as the peacekeepers prepared to launch their attack. They had spent weeks gathering intelligence and planning their approach. The Xantor fleet, though still disorganized, was regrouping and reinforcing their defenses. The peacekeepers' mission was to strike a key Xantor installation that was critical to their war efforts. Sarah gathered her team in the operations room of their hidden base. The room was filled with maps, data screens, and tactical displays. Despite the preparation, the tension was palpable. Sarah took a deep breath and addressed her team. "All right, everyone, this is our chance to make a real impact. We need to hit hard and fast. We've planned every detail, but expect the unexpected. Stay sharp, and remember, we're in this together." Alex, focused and calm, reviewed the technical aspects of the mission. "Our objective is to disable the Xantor's energy generator. This will cause a significant power outage, which should weaken their defenses and give us an advantage." Greg, the strategist, nodded. "We'll be facing heavy resistance. The Xantor have fortified their position, so we'll need to adapt our tactics as we go. I'll handle the real-time adjustments." With their plan set, the peacekeepers boarded their stealth ship. The ship, although not built for heavy combat, was equipped with advanced cloaking technology that allowed them to approach their target undetected. The team worked in perfect coordination, each member focused on their role. The ship launched and moved towards the Xantor installation. The journey was tense, with the crew constantly on alert for any signs of detection. The Xantor's defenses were formidable, with patrols and sensor networks in place to detect intrusions. As they neared the target, Alex's heart raced. He was responsible for hacking into the installation's security systems to allow their entry. His fingers flew over the controls as he bypassed the alien security measures. "Almost there," Alex said, sweat beading on his forehead. "Just a few more seconds." Greg kept a close eye on the tactical readouts. "We're approaching the perimeter. Prepare for entry. We'll have a small window before the Xantor detect us." Sarah took a deep breath and gave the signal. "Go!" The stealth ship slipped through the installation's defenses, landing in a concealed area. The team disembarked and moved swiftly through the shadows. They navigated through corridors and bypassed security systems using the information Alex had provided. As they approached the energy generator, the peacekeepers encountered their first real obstacle. Xantor guards patrolled the area, their alien voices echoing through the halls. The team had to avoid detection while positioning themselves for the attack. Sarah, with her keen sense of strategy, directed the team to take cover and wait for the right moment. "We need to time this perfectly. We'll take them out quickly and quietly." The team executed their plan with precision. Using non-lethal weapons and stun devices, they incapacitated the guards without raising an alarm. Their training and preparation paid off, and they reached the energy generator. Alex immediately began working on the device they had brought with them. His hands shook slightly as he connected the device to the generator's control panel. "This will cause a power surge and disable the generator. We'll have to move quickly once it's activated." Greg monitored the surroundings, ensuring no additional guards were approaching. "We've got company on the way. We need to hurry." As Alex finished setting up the device, alarms began to blare. The Xantor had detected the breach. The peacekeepers' stealth advantage was lost, and they were now facing the full force of the alien guards. The team fought back with determination. Sarah led the charge, her strategic mind guiding their movements. Alex provided technical support, using his knowledge to counter the Xantor's countermeasures. Greg coordinated their efforts, making split-second decisions to adapt to the changing situation. Despite their best efforts, the peacekeepers were outnumbered. The Xantor's superior numbers and firepower put them at a severe disadvantage. The battle was intense, with blaster fire and explosions lighting up the dark corridors. In the midst of the chaos, the device Alex had set up activated. The energy generator erupted with a burst of light and power, causing a massive surge that disabled the installation's energy systems. The Xantor's defenses faltered and the installation's power went out. "Now's our chance," Sarah shouted. "Fall back to the ship." The peacekeepers fought their way back to the stealth ship, pushing through the Xantor's defenses. The damage to their ship had made the escape more difficult, but they managed to reach their vessel and take off just in time. As they left the installation behind, the peacekeepers were battered and exhausted. The mission had been a success, but it had come at a cost. They had faced their first real fight and emerged victorious, but the battle had shown them just how formidable their enemies could be. Back at their base, the team regrouped and tended to their injuries. The galaxy's leaders were impressed with their success, but the peacekeepers knew there was still much work to be done. Sarah, Alex, and Greg were more determined than ever. Their first fight had tested their resolve and skills, and they had proven themselves as capable fighters. The challenges ahead would be even greater, but they were ready to face them. As they prepared for their next mission, the peacekeepers knew that their journey was far from over. They had taken their first steps into the heart of the conflict, and they were prepared to continue their fight against the Xantor. The galaxy depended on them, and they were determined to see their mission through to the end. The final showdown. The galaxy's fate hung in the balance as the peacekeepers prepared for their final confrontation with the Xantor. After weeks of intense battles and narrow escapes, Sarah Morgan, Alex Carter, and Greg Miller knew that this was their last chance to end the conflict and secure peace for countless worlds. The Xantor fleet had regrouped and fortified their defenses after the peacekeepers' previous attacks. Their main base, a massive space station orbiting a distant planet, had become the heart of their operations. The peacekeepers' mission was to strike at this stronghold and deliver a decisive blow to the Xantor's war efforts. The team gathered in their base's operations room, their faces grim with determination. Sarah stood at the front, her voice steady as she addressed her team. "This is it. We've come too far to back down now. Our objective is to disable the Xantor's command center. If we can do that, we'll cripple their ability to coordinate their forces. We know it's going to be tough, but we're ready." Alex, who had been analyzing the data from their previous missions, spoke up. "The space station is heavily guarded. We'll need to use every bit of our skills and technology to get through. I've updated our plan to include a new approach for bypassing their defenses." Greg nodded, his face serious. "We'll be facing intense resistance. The Xantor have prepared for an attack, so we'll need to be quick and precise. I'll handle the real-time strategy and adapt our tactics as needed." With their plan in place, the Peacekeepers boarded their stealth ship and set out for the Xantor space station. The ship, although battered from previous missions, was equipped with the latest modifications to enhance its stealth capabilities. The team was determined to make the most of their final opportunity. As they approached the space station, the Peacekeepers used their ship's advanced cloaking technology to avoid detection. The station's sensors and patrols were on high alert, and the team had to navigate carefully to avoid being spotted. Alex monitored the station's security systems, hacking into their networks to create a temporary window of opportunity. "I've got us access to a maintenance tunnel. It's a risky route, but it should get us inside the station." The team entered the tunnel and made their way through the maze of corridors. The maintenance area was dimly lit and filled with machinery, providing some cover as they advanced. The air was thick with tension as they moved closer to their target. Greg kept a close eye on their progress, using his tactical expertise to guide them through the complex layout. "We're approaching the command center. We'll need to move quickly to avoid detection." As they neared the command center, the Peacekeepers encountered their first major obstacle. The corridor leading to the center was guarded by a group of heavily armed Xantor soldiers. The team had to devise a plan to neutralize the guards without raising an alarm. Sarah took charge, outlining their strategy. "We'll use diversionary tactics. Alex, you create a disturbance with the ship's communications equipment. Greg, you'll lead the assault while I provide cover." Alex quickly set up the equipment, generating a series of false signals to draw the guards away from their position. The diversion worked, and the guards moved to investigate the disturbance. With the guards distracted, Sarah and Greg moved swiftly. They incapacitated the remaining guards and secured the corridor leading to the command center. The way was clear, but the final challenge awaited them. The command center was a massive chamber filled with consoles and control panels. The Xantor leaders were present, coordinating their forces and overseeing the war effort. The Peacekeepers' objective was to disable the command center and disrupt the Xantor's operations. Sarah, Alex, and Greg entered the command center and quickly assessed the situation. The Xantor leaders were caught off guard by the sudden intrusion. The Peacekeepers took advantage of the confusion to make their move. Alex worked on overriding the control systems, while Sarah and Greg engaged the Xantor leaders in combat. The battle was intense, with blaster fire and energy weapons lighting up the room. The Peacekeepers fought with determination, their previous experiences preparing them for this final showdown. As Alex worked to disable the control systems, the Xantor leaders fought back with all their might. The room was a chaotic battlefield, with the outcome hanging in the balance. The Peacekeepers had to push through the resistance and complete their mission. Sarah's leadership and strategic skills guided the team through the fight. She directed their efforts, making critical decisions to overcome the Xantor's defenses. Greg provided tactical support, coordinating their movements and adapting their approach as needed. Alex's progress was slow but steady. He managed to bypass the security measures and access the command center's main controls. With a final push, he activated a series of disruptions that crippled the Xantor's operations. The command center's systems went haywire, and the space station's control panels exploded in a shower of sparks. The Xantor leaders, realizing their defeat, attempted to escape, but the damage was too extensive. With their mission accomplished, the Peacekeepers fought their way back to their stealth ship. The station was in disarray, and the Xantor forces were scrambling to respond. The team made their escape, leaving the space station behind in chaos. As they left the area, the Peacekeepers were battered and exhausted but victorious. The Xantor's command center was in ruins, and their ability to coordinate their forces had been severely compromised. The final showdown had been a success, and the galaxy had been given a chance for peace. Back at their base, the peacekeepers were greeted as heroes. Their bravery and determination had turned the tide of the war and inspired hope across the galaxy. The conflict was far from over, but the peacekeepers had proven that even against overwhelming odds, courage and teamwork could make a difference. Sarah, Alex, and Greg looked at each other with a sense of accomplishment. They had faced their greatest challenge and emerged victorious. The galaxy's future was still uncertain, but they were ready to face whatever came next. The peacekeepers' journey had tested their limits and shown their true strength. They were no longer seen as mere underdogs, but as true champions of hope and resilience. As they prepared for the next chapter of their mission, they knew that they would continue to fight for a brighter future for the galaxy. A new era. The peacekeepers had achieved a significant victory, but the war with the Xantor was far from over. The destruction of the Xantor's command center had crippled their ability to coordinate their forces, but the remnants of their fleet were still a threat. Sarah Morgan, Alex Carter, and Greg Miller knew that their fight was not finished. However, their recent success had given the galaxy a glimmer of hope. The galaxy was abuzz with news of the peacekeepers' triumph. Planets that had been under Xantor control began to rise in defiance, and resistance groups everywhere felt encouraged by the peacekeepers' bravery. The team returned to their base, greeted with cheers and admiration from their allies. They were hailed as heroes, but they remained focused on the challenges ahead. In the Peacekeepers' operations room, the team gathered to discuss their next steps. The room was filled with maps, data screens, and the latest intelligence reports. Despite their success, the weight of their responsibilities was evident on their faces. Sarah addressed her team with a resolute tone. "We've struck a major blow against the Xantor, but we can't afford to rest on our laurels. Their fleet is still a threat, and we need to continue our efforts to ensure that the galaxy remains safe." Alex nodded in agreement. "The Xantor are regrouping, and their remaining forces are likely to be more desperate. We need to stay ahead of them and use the momentum from our recent victory to our advantage." Greg, ever the strategist, reviewed the latest data. "We've received reports of Xantor forces retreating and regrouping. It's a sign that our actions are having an impact. However, we need to prepare for their next move and ensure that we don't give them a chance to recover." The team decided to use their newfound momentum to launch a series of coordinated strikes against key Xantor positions. Their goal was to prevent the Xantor from reorganizing and to further weaken their ability to pose a threat. The operations were complex, involving multiple fronts and alliances with various resistance groups across the galaxy. The peacekeepers embarked on their mission, leading attacks on Xantor supply lines and outposts. Their efforts were met with fierce resistance, but the tide of the war seemed to be turning. The Xantor forces, already weakened, struggled to respond to the peacekeepers' relentless assaults. Throughout these operations, the team worked with local resistance fighters and allied forces. They shared their knowledge and strategies, empowering others to take part in the fight against the Xantor. The cooperation between different groups fostered a sense of unity and purpose. Back at their base, the atmosphere was a mix of excitement and tension. The victories were celebrated, but the peacekeepers knew that the end of the conflict was still a distant goal. They remained vigilant, preparing for the possibility of a counterattack. One evening, as the team reviewed their progress, a transmission came through from a prominent leader of the galaxy's coalition forces. The leader, a wise and respected figure, addressed the peacekeepers with gratitude and hope. "Your bravery and skill have inspired the galaxy. The tide is turning and the Xantor's grip on our worlds is weakening. But there is still work to be done. We must continue to fight and build on the foundation you have laid. A new era is on the horizon, and it is up to us to shape it." Sarah, Alex, and Greg listened intently. The leader's words resonated with them, reinforcing their commitment to the cause. They knew that their recent victories were just the beginning, and that the future of the galaxy depended on their continued efforts. As the team prepared for their next mission, they took a moment to reflect on their journey. They had faced countless challenges, from desperate battles to daring missions. Each step had brought them closer to their goal of ending the conflict and securing peace. Sarah looked at her team with a sense of pride. We've come a long way and we've achieved so much, but we can't stop now. The galaxy is counting on us, and we have to see this through to the end. Alex, ever the optimist, added, "We've shown that even in the darkest times, there is hope. Our actions have inspired others to join the fight, and together we can build a better future." Greg, the strategist, concluded, "We've laid the groundwork for a new era. Our efforts have not only weakened the Xantor, but also strengthened our alliances. The path ahead will be difficult, but we're ready for it." The peacekeepers set out once again, determined to continue their mission and bring about a new era of peace and stability. They knew that the fight was far from over, but their recent success had given them renewed strength and determination. As they embarked on their next operation, the team carried with them the hope of a galaxy that was beginning to recover from the shadow of war. The peacekeepers had become symbols of courage and resilience, and their journey was far from finished. The new era they sought was within reach, and with each step they took, they moved closer to a future where the galaxy could finally experience peace. The peacekeepers were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that their actions would shape the destiny of countless worlds.